Joe. Similar
Have a
to
nice
this.
day.
You too.
You know, this fella, this cousin, who wakes up his wife at 2:00 in the morning, and he says, you know, I've been having this dream already for three. I had to wake up because I'm having this dream for 3 nights already. That 5,000 Chassidim are calling me Rebbe. He said, I don't know what to do. It's 3 nights in a row. She said, do me a favor, wake me up when the 5,000 Chassidim have the dream that you're their Rebbe, not when you have the dream.
Very good. That's very good. Yeah. Who said it? Who did you say said it?
No, it's just a joke.
Oh, I thought it was like a Rebbe. I thought it was a Rebbe.
No, it's a joke. It's a Chassidish joke.
Gewaldig. Okay, so tonight is the last of the easy daf for the next few days, because you look at the size of the next few blot after this, Bez Hashem, and heavy Kabbalah / Machshava / I don't even know what. Maisa Merkava, what went on in the world before, what's going on in the heavens, all those type of things. So, yeah.
It's good we have Yeshua here. He can explain it all to us. It's good.
Yes. I don't know. Yeah. Anyways,
Yeah,
it would be good to have a
should be a
maral.
breeze.
What?
That should be a breeze.
Yeah. Yeah. It would help to have a maral open with us at the minimum to understand all this stuff. Yeah. But anyways, okay. So let's make a siyum on the Perek first. In case those that are not aware that we're making siyum on the Perek, they should be fully prepared with all their beverage of choice for the siyum. We're on.
A little.
Okay. So he's in Magdiman. Yud Aleph Amud Aleph. About 2 dots. All right. About 10 lines down. Yud Aleph Amud Aleph.
Yeah.
So Mikra Muat v'Hilchas Merubas. Right. So there's a lot of. So we said Tzaraas has a few psukim and a lot of halachas. Right. Tana Negayim v'Oholos Mikra Muat v'Halachas Merubas. Negayim and Oholos have small amount of psukim and a lot of halachas, right? So Negayim Mikra Muat and Negayim Mikra Merubahu. Negayim, if there's any psukim in the Torah that have a lot of psukim, it's Tzaraas. So we got 2 parshias of Tzaraas, right? As the Olam and the Sefer HaChinuch Chabura and Shabbos afternoon, as we know, we've been doing Tzaraas, but I don't know, the whole winter's man already we're doing Tzaraas. So it's Tazria and Metzora. Yeah. So there's a lot of psukim. So Amar Papa Hachikam and Negayim Mikra Meruba v'Hilchas Muatas. Negayim Tzaraas has a lot of psukim and very few halachas. And Oholos is Mikra Muat v'Halachas Merubas. Oholos has a few psukim but a lot of halachas. Okay, my nafkamina. What's the difference? What's the difference? What it is? So Ima Stavkalov. So the more answers Ima Stavkalov Milsa b'Negayim Hayim b'Kroi. If you're not sure about a halacha by Tzaraas, then you got to go look in the Torah. And if you're not sure about something by Oholos, then you look in the Mishna. Yeah. Okay. So that's Tzaraas and Oholos. Dinin, right? That's Choshen Mishpat. Bichtav Ksivan. That's another one that says there's a lot of psukim. Look at the Rebbe. We need it for Rebbe. The Tanya Rebbe, Aimer Nefesh Tachas Nefesh. When you have, it says that you have a nefesh, you pay for a nefesh, tachas a nefesh, right? This is talking about the case where 2 men are fighting, and by mistake, they hit a woman, and they killed her. Yeah. So what we have to do is you have to pay nefesh, tachas nefesh. So what it doesn't mean that you kill him. What it is that you pay the worth that she would go for if you were to sell her as a slave. Right, then that's what you have to pay. Meaning you don't pay it to her, obviously, because she's not alive. You pay it to her to her to those that are inheriting her. Do you say that it means money? Do you say that it means nefesh mamish? So never nesina lamata. It says nesina lamata by venasata nefesh tachas nefesh. Right? So then that's clearly not talking about killing. But Nemra Nesina Lamala, and it says Nesina Lamala. All right. So there's a hekesh. Just like over there, it's referring to money. Afkan moments is so to here, it's referring to money. So the Gzer Shava is telling us that it's not, you're not paying for it with a nefesh, you're paying for it with money, and that's not beferish. That's clearly not beferish, right? If you read the pasuk like the Tzedukim would read it, it says nefesh tachas nefesh. So we're saying that doesn't mean that. So that's why it's not beferish. Fine, avoidus. So avoidus means anything having to do with the avoid in the Beis Hamikdash. Michta Ksivan, we have lots of psukim about avoidus. Like we only need it for when they bring the blood. Tanya vikrivu zu kabbalah sadam, meaning you have to take the blood, they have to carry the blood from wherever it is that they shech the animal, you have to carry it over to the mizbeach. So the Tanya vikrivu zu kabbalah sadam. When it says vikrivu, when it says that you have to bring it closer, that's referring to kabbalah sadam. Right? That's referring to kabbalah sadam. Right? After Rahmana Belashon Halacha, and the Torah uses it a lashon of carrying or going. The Kayan brings everything close, and he's making on his beach. That's bringing the Avarim to the ramp. Right? We learned in Shkolim that there's a whole setup of how you go about bringing all the limbs to the ramp. First, you put it halfway up the ramp, then you have to come take it. So that's the way then the other kohen comes and takes it. So remember the halacha, so what this is telling you is that carrying everything, the blood and the avarim and everything, is included in Kabbalah. Meaning, even though the pasuk doesn't say beferish that you have to take it, that's all part as an umbrella of being makriv the korbanos. So that's also not beferish. So that's what the Mishna means. Fine. Tyrus, so meaning anything having to do with Tumah and Tyrus, and Mikva, and that also says a lot of psukim about Tyrus. So my answer is like Mikva. We need it for the shir of Mikva. The like Siva, that's not beferish anywhere in the Torah, the shir of Mikva, which is actually a fascinating thing. Mikva is such an integral part of Yiddishkeit. And it doesn't even say what the measurements of a mikvah is supposed to be, right? Like a lot of major things in Yiddishkeit that it doesn't say what they're supposed to be, which is, that's a preparation for the next Perek, the Tanya, right? Because it says v'rochatz b'sar b'mayim, and you wash your basar in water. B'mei mikvah as called b'sari. In a mikvah, all your basar has to be in the mikvah, which means mayim shekol gufay oila behen. We learn it out that it means that water, that the entire body goes in there. The kamahin, and how much is it? How much water does the entire body go in? Amal amma barum shalish amas. It's an amma by an amma with a height of 3 amas. Taisus goes through that really it should be 4 amas, right? But because that's the average person is higher than 3 amas. Okay, v'shiro chachamim may mikvar barim son. The chachamim say that measurement is 40 sa, right? So this is also obviously not beferish in the Torah, and that's a major part of Tahiris is the size of a mikvah. So therefore, you need to. That's why it says that it's mikramuit and a lot of halachas, right? We're actually coming up to this. The next mitzvah we're up to in the Sefer HaMitzvahs, that he goes through why mikvah is matar, why it's so important for mikvah to be matar. Basically, he says that anytime you need tahara, you go into a body of water, which is you're sort of like going back to the way the world was at creation. You're going into the world full of water. And when you come out of the water, then you're a new bria, which is why you can't go in a kli, because water in a kli is not the way it was by creation. It was water that was in the ground. Right, so that's why you need to dafka have mei mikvah in the ground. Okay, that's where mei mikvah comes from. Fine. Tumeis, right? So Tumah, right? So that's also beferish. Michta Ksivan, that also says Tumah all over. We need it for the measurement of a lentil from a chariots. The like siva, because it doesn't say that. Meaning, normally a chariots, no matter what size it is, if it's a complete chariots. Now again, a chariots is not a bug. Right? I don't think a lot of people think shrotzim are bugs. They're not bugs. They're the shmeina shrotzim, like in Shabbos. They're I don't even know how do you touch it. How do you touch shrotzim? Crawling
Insects.
Not insects. No,
Not
it's not
insects.
insects. That's what I'm saying. It's not insects. A chariots is not an insect. A chariots is much bigger, like a squirrel.
Most
like
of them
a-
are rodents.
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 Like a druk. What do they call it? In Israel, they have those juks.
No, much bigger.
No,
much bigger.
no.
Rodents.
big?
Rodents.
A rodent.
Yeah.
Like a possum? Like an opossum?
Yes,
Yeah, it could be
possums,
some- yeah. I don't know.
moles, raccoons, squirrels,
Yeah, none of
lizards.
Wow.
Right. The lizard could be one of them. So there's 8 of them. Yeah.
That's a
Roadkill.
chariots. I always thought
Roadkill.
chariots was like a spider or something.
No, that's what we're saying. A lot of people think that it's not. The sheratzim are big. So, but whatever it is, even if you have a small sheretz, if it's an entire sheretz, then it doesn't make a difference what the shear is. It's metama. But if it's only a piece of a sheretz is a lentil size, right? So then that's again like nitzur halakadashim and a sheretz. It's a lentil size from a sheretz. Like see, it doesn't say in the pasuk. The Tanya behem, right? It says. Right? So what is behem? Yeah, so Yachol Bekulon, you would think that you have to touch all of them, meaning it doesn't mean all of them, meaning the entire, you have to have a full sheretz. Tamalaymer mayhem, it just means something from them. It doesn't have to be the entire sheretz, it's gonna be something from them. Yachol b'miksasan, so you think, okay, it's maybe even a little bit. Tamalaymer bohem. So it says Bahem. So what do we have? We're going around in a circle here. Bahem, right? Mayhem. So what is it? Okay. So this is what the pshat is. Until you touch a small part of the sheretz, which is the equivalent of kuloi, then that will become tummy. And what is that shear? Shira chachavim say that's an adasha. Why is it an adasha? Meaning we're saying that when you touch part of a sheretz that makes it like the whole sheretz, then that's considered like touching a full sheretz in its tummy. And the Chachamim said that it's the size of a lentil. So where did it come from? Shekain chaymit tchilase b'kadasha. A chaymit at the beginning, it's when it's first born, it has the size of a lentil. So therefore, since it's the size of a lentil, then it seems like a chaymit is some sort of, I don't know how they touch this. It's a whole controversy exactly what a chaymet is. All right, it's not. Is it a snail?
Rashi seems to say snail.
Because it grows, right? Rashi says, "Umageles tamid." It's like a round. It goes around, so it's like a snail, right? So okay, but that's whatever it is. That's the smallest thing. That's the smallest type of sheretz. Like the tail of a lizard, right? Which Rashi says that when you cut off the tail of a lizard, it has a life of its own, right? It's still bouncing around the tail of a lizard, right? So since that's the normal size of a tail of a lizard, it seems to have its own life. So therefore, that's the shear. That would be the shear. Okay, Arayos. So what about Arayos? Arayos is illegal relationships. So Mikva Ksivan, Arayos, it certainly says it in the Torah, right? Now, it's referring to a daughter from if he raped somebody, and then he had a daughter and a granddaughter. So you would think that that's not really his daughter. I mean, it is his daughter, but it's not really from marriage, right? So therefore, we'll tell you that even them, he's not allowed to be together with it. Why? I mean, why are we saying that? Because Rashi says, Bitoy Ishtoy. That already it says beferish in the pasuk. You're not allowed to be with your daughter. Right? So Elamai, that's what it means. It means that a granddaughter from, even though not through marriage, it doesn't necessarily have to be through rape either. It's lav dafka. It just means not your daughter through the regular channels of marriage. Right? With the like Siva, because that's not written referish in the pasuk. Damar Rava, Amrli Rav Yitzchak bar Avdimi, Asya Heina Heina, Asya Zima Zima. It says Xerashav of Heina Heina, right? Which tells you that you're not allowed to be with your daughter that was born through an illegal relationship. I don't know, illegal is the right word. And it says Zima Zima is that you get Sreifa, right? So that's how we know that one cannot be with his daughter, even if that daughter came to him not through marriage. So that's also not beferish. So that's what the Gemara is referring to. Fine. Then the Gemara says, yeah.
And it's so, we have certain things that are so dark as thick, it's dark as thick, like, Averas that are, I don't want to say Averas Lishma, I don't want to even know how to say what I'm saying. Things that are so minute and so, like the Chafetz Chaim decide where he's getting wool out of his mind because he wore a gartel. Should he wear a gartel? Not wear a gartel? Like, whoa. And you have this psukim to my chariots, behemoths, people who should be thrown off at the top of buildings.
Right.
It's like, what?
Yeah. Well, And Chanam, you're saying, you're gonna.
I don't know what to say what I'm saying, but
you're saying like what we worried about this Meshuggah over here. He wants to go marry his daughter that he got that is not really his daughter, right? Yeah.
Because we see what happens. We see what happens when permissibility happens. You see what happens today. Up is down, left is right.
No, I know Chanami, right? I hear that. Oh yeah. Anyways, yeah. So so then the Gemara finishes off. The Mishna finishes off Hein Gufei Torah. So what do you mean? These last few subjects that the Mishnah discusses are Gufei Torah and the rest is not. Right? The Gemara says Hani in Hanach loy. Only these last few, but the other ones are not. So Ella Gemara says Ema Hein v'Hein Gufei Torah. These and these are the Gufei Torah, which again I don't really get the chariots. What do you mean they're Gufei Torah? I mean, that's the Torah. I mean, this is the Torah. I mean, the Hein Gufei Torah as opposed to what? Right? I'm saying Tumah, Tara, Avoida, Arayos, Shabbos. I'm saying, yeah, that's Gufei Torah. That's Gufei Torah. What else? What else? What are we leaving out?
I thought it meant it's no more kal just because Chachamim shiaruhu, or it's a Gzeirashava or something like that. It's the same thing. There's no difference.
You're saying that the way we learn it out is Gufei Torah. Don't think that it's not Gufei Torah because it's not beferish. That's what you're saying.
Right. Yeah.
I hear. Okay, I thought it was just this is all. I mean,
like, as you said before, the sheer mikvah is something so basic to Yiddishkeit, but it's not in the Torah. Hein Gufei Torah.
The shear isn't, but at least it tells you what to do. Tefillin. What?
The whole, maskim, the whole 100%. That's what the Mishnah means. Hein Gufei Torah. Even though it seems mind-boggling to us, that's considered written in the Torah. That's what the Kosh Baruch Hu gave Moshe and Har Sinai, written in the Torah.
Right. Okay, I see. You're saying that meaning whether it's a lot of psukim, small amount of limudim. Okay, I hear that. I wasn't thinking that that's pshat. Of course, the cynic in me is going to say, and close your ears if you don't want to hear apikorsis. But this is me and Rabaran. We go back too long. Who's telling you that it's Gufei Torah? The Rabbanan that are giving you the limudim? Shkoyach. Right? Well, we can erase that from the record, but I'm saying I don't know. Whatever.
That is part of what's halacha l'Moshe Sinai. All the halachas were given to Moshe Rabbeinu and Har Sinai. The question is where to learn them from.
Okay, that's true. But who's the ones? Who are the ones that are telling us? The Chachamim. So then they tell us, "Hein Gufei Torah." I mean, I would hope they would say that.
No, but even if we would disagree and say that the drashas themselves are not Gufei Torah, the halachas are Gufei Torah. Halachas are Kosh Baruch Hu gave Moshe and Har Sinai.
Correct, but we only know them through the Chachamim.
through Moshe Rabbeinu directly. What's the difference?
No, I'm just saying.
We only know the Torah from Moshe Rabbeinu also.
Yeah.
The Eibishter only gave us the luchos, and those were smashed. Everything's from Moshe Rabbeinu.
Yeah. Okay, Enochanami. Anyways, okay. So Hadran Allah Hakol Chayon. I'm sorry for delaying the siyum. I'm sorry. See,
I'm waiting over here. I'm ready to kill him, man.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
Perek is
drive all
waiting.
the way to Cleveland.
I'm saying I already.
Yaakov, Hein Scotch. I don't know if you can see the name, but this is called illicit.
Very good. Perek, it's for the new Perek too.
That's it.
I didn't start the new Perek yet.
Okay.
Parrots. I started doing it too, just so I know what you feel like when I hold you back.
Okay, I have my seltzer. I'm sorry too. It's not even hard seltzer. I apologize.
Chaim Kelly. Seltzer's also good.
Very good.
Oh mine.
How about ginger kale?
There you go.
Wow.
Okay,
Fun
Hadran
stuff.
and if I forgot to say that or not, I don't know. Okay, we should continue to make more siyumin.
Man.
You know, I told you what Rav David Feinstein, I think he said, I think we said it before, that in the MTJ, they wanted to make a pizza party after finishing a Perek. I don't know, or they did always make pizza parties in the high school, elementary school. I don't know. When they finished a Perek, they went to Rav David Feinstein. Rav David Feinstein said, in today's door, with all what Klal Yisrael's been, it's a ganz fine celebration when you finish a Perek, and Avada you should make a zah.
Somebody just told me a story that I heard a long time ago, but I forgot about it. That somebody came to a guy made a siyum on a daf, and they asked Rav Moshe Feinstein if you're allowed to make, Ms. Maisa.
No.
They asked him if you're allowed to make a siyum. The guy was learning. The guy was a boxer, and his son started to learn. And then the father said he wanted to learn too. And it took him 6 months to finish one blot. He said, I want to make a siyum. I'm so excited. I'll make a big party. He said, you never heard this story? He says, you can't make a siyum on a daf, on the Masechta. He goes, no. He says, I'm going to ask for Moshe Feinstein. Moshe Feinstein said, not only should you make the siyum on the daf, he said, I'm coming to the siyum. Came to the siyum, and the next day the guy didn't wake up. He made a siyum on a daf Gemara, and who knows? Maybe that was the shachas. You never heard of it? Crazy mice?
I never heard that mice. Never heard that mice. That's pretty good. Well, I hope to see everybody tomorrow, though.
Yeah, I'm not inviting anybody to my siyum.
So was that the guy that everything was good for him? He had the perfect life. He was
maybe.
No Averis.
Reb Shlomo did it in the yeshiva too. He made a siyum with somebody with one blot.
Didn't he make it? Didn't he make a binding or something?
He made a binding.
Yeah, he made a letter
He made a
binding.
book
Yeah.
out of the one blot. Yes.
Yeah. Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem. Okay, very good. So we should only continue to make more siyum.
Man.
Fine. Okay. So Zok, now this next Perek is wild. This next Perek is mamish wild. We'll try. The beginning is a little is regular, and then it's tomorrow's daf, and the next few blot after that. Ooh. Okay. So, anyways, saying Dorshon Arayos b'shloisha. You're not allowed to darshan with Arayos with 3 people. We'll see in the Gemara exactly what this is, but basically, I mean, the basic is that you should not have shiurim with more than 3 people talking about the Arayos. Yeah. And the Maisa Bereshis, meaning how the world was created, you can't do that with 2 people. And not the Maisa Merkava b'yochid. The Maisa Merkava, we had it referenced a few times. Literally, Merkava means chariots. Right, so basically, it's about all the Kabbalah and how the world works and how the world runs and where the world came from, etc., etc. So that you're not even allowed to have a chavrusa. If you're a chacham and you understand it, then you're allowed to learn it, right? And unfortunately, there have been many chachamim that decided that they were chachamim and they could start learning Kabbalah and all these type of things, right? Okay, so that's the first thing. Then the Mishnah is call him mistakel ba'arba dvarim. Anybody who mistakel literally means to stare. But if you're busy trying to analyze these four things. It's better if he would not have been born. Now, what are these four things? Malamala, malamata, malafnim, malach. What's above, what's below, what's inside, literally, and malach, and what's after, meaning what was before and what was after. Basically, it's trying to think about what's above the world, what's below the world, what came before the world, what's going to be after the world, all the stuff that people really want to know, but we just can't say. We can't really discuss it. Right? Then a very interesting line here. Anybody who does not have Rahmanis on the cover of his owner, which that's the literal way to translate it, which means that you're not giving honor. We'll see in the Gemara what that is. Also, it's better that he shouldn't have been born. Right? Okay, so my kasha is that we learned in Eruvin that everybody shouldn't have been born. Right? In the Gemara in Eruvin, we said that it's better that we should not have. So even without doing all these things. So I don't know exactly what the pshat in that is. Yeah. Fine. Okay, so now let's see, we'll see in the Gemara. Fine. So Gemara says, Amr Peresha, we said in the Reisha, you're not allowed to darshan a merkava, meaning even one person is not allowed to look into the Ma'aser Merkava. And then we said, and then we said, unless you're a chacham and you can understand. So that means that one person could learn the Ma'aser Merkava, meaning can a person learn it, can a person not learn it? Right? The first line says, even alone you can't do it. And then it says, unless you're a chacham and a maven midaita. So what's a pshat? So hachikamer. So now we're changing it. Changing the pshat, or at least what we thought was the pshat in the Mishna. Ein darshan barayas lishloisha. Doesn't mean bishloisha. We thought that arayos bishloisha means one person darshaning and two people listening. That makes three. Now we're saying it's four people. One person darshaning to three people. For ma'aser bereshis lishnayim, and ma'aser bereshis you can't darshan to two. And you can't talk about the ma'aser merkava to a yachid. Unless you're a chacham and he's maybe midaita, then he's allowed to learn by himself. Right? Now, what's fascinating with this is, as far as I know, I don't know if anybody went to any shiurim or looked into this. I looked into it a little bit. It's not brought in Shulchan Aruch, these halachas. His halachas are not brought in Shulchan Aruch. The Rambam brings it, the Torah brings it a little bit, but the Shulchan Aruch does not discuss it. Right? So it's quite interesting that why? Does that mean we don't paskin like this? You could? Right? I don't know. Anybody hear anything, see anything on this? Yeah, so I don't, it's interesting. It's clearly the minig in the Welt. Like certainly ain't darshan bar. The one that most negay is the Arayos. Right? That's why, and it would probably help to have shiurim on Arayos, the rabbin, tniyas, and these type of things. But lemaisa, we don't do it because ain't darshan ba'arayos. I mean, unfortunately, people do it with tniyas, and it gets a little crazy. But these we're not supposed to darshan these things. We're not supposed to darshan these things with in public, which is what seems to be the hanhaga in the Welt, right? So I don't know.
Darshan means be'ir, or darshan means just to know the basic halachas?
No, halachas of no, more darshan, more like shalom bayis and these type of things, right? It seems like the hanhag is not to have public shiur. Yeah, basic shalom bayis, be nice to your wife, yada yada yada. Yeah, but anything more than that is not done b'rabim at all. Right? I think that's the makar. This is the makar. They say ain't darshan b'arayos, but you don't darshan b'arayos in public.
I thought that was a maximum amount. But if there was more than three people, then you're allowed to. Is that not what this is saying?
No, it's mashma like that in the Gemara, Grata, what you're saying. We'll see the Gemara. But the Gemara could be it's mashma like you're saying, but you'd have to know the amounts. Let's see the Gemara.
Yaakov.
Yeah.
Years ago, you taught a sefer on Hilchos Nida and things like that. And I feel like I remember hearing you say that the definition of shalom bayis in a lot of cases was talking about ona and things like that as well.
Yeah.
It's not not just being nice to your wife, but it's relations and certain things that are really you need to be a bit smooth about.
Correct. So yeah, that's exactly I imagine that's what we said.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why they're saying shalom bayis. You don't need to talk about it in public.
And a chanami, but I'm saying a lot of times it would be helpful to talk about it, because people don't talk about it in private. So if a rabbi gets out there and says it in public, so then people will actually hear things. But like this, everything is hidden under the table and blah blah blah. And it's a lot of confusion out there and whatever. But we just don't do it. And I think this is the source. This is the source. But
Isn't it the case that a rabbi is supposed to teach two things to a kahil? Is supposed to teach about Korknefesh on Shabbos and Taras Mishpach?
Yeah, but no, Taras Mishpach is halacha. That's fine. I'm talking about more the next level of Taras Mishpach, meaning more shalom bayis and those type of things, like a chas and shmooze to the rabbin. Right? That they don't do that. They don't do that. So, yeah. Anyways, okay. So let's see. So ain't darshan barayis b'shloisha. Where do we get this from? That you don't darshan barayis b'shloisha. So my time, or what's the reason? So it's interesting because the Gemara first takes it. It's just tali and psukim, and then the Gemara brings it down to for a practical reason. So my time, ish el kol she'er b'sarai, every man, right? But it says ish twice to his relative, right? Which means don't be. There's a psukim in the beginning of the parsha which tells you not to marry your relatives. Ish trei she'er b'sarai chad, right? And a relative, that's one, and that makes three. B'amar Rachman, and then the Torah says don't go to and reveal the erva. Right, so you see that it's three people. Yeah, Elamayat, if that's the case, if a man curses curses Hashem, or it says or if any person gives his kids over to the avodah zarah malach hachanami. So here too, you're going to say that only if two people do it, they're over on avera, but one person does it is not over. That can't possibly be. So
I don't understand. This Gemara is saying the drasha of three people. We're obviously talking about real erva here. We're taking the drasha out of context. That drasha is a real drasha. I'm not understanding the tush though. Ishish by erva, it's talking about real erva, not darshaning it. And the psukim that we're talking about, ki ishish ki akalo, is that's a real drasha. I don't understand the tush.
Yeah, we're using
one is a real drasha, one's not a real drasha.
Correct.
So why would you darshan that way?
I don't know.
It's really not a real drasha.
I mean, it's a real drasha, but it should sound like
it's not. Then you can't. If a person who darshan should get misa, according to this.
Right, that's true.
Is that what the Gemara is saying? I don't think so.
That's clearly what the Gemara is saying. What's the pshat in the Gemara? I have no idea.
But all these cases are meduma that you'll get misa if you depending on the drasha. I thought the Gemara it's a smach though.
Whatever, so maybe it's an asmachta, maybe that's a pshat. But then clearly that's what the Gemara is coming off of. Yes, we're darshaning to taking the psukim out of context, and we're saying that it applies to just not to darshan. Right? And your kasha is even stronger with the next line, because then we say ishish ki yikala lekov ishish shayitim ezar lamalach hachanami, right? Which hachanami what? That you're not allowed to talk about it? Or that
I would assume it means real milach, that you need two people to do milach.
Right. So then now we're flipping it. Right. Now we're saying it means two doing it together. I don't have pshat. Akiva, I don't have pshat. Yeah, this is just the beginning of a few blot of tough stuff. Even though this is a different type of tough, but yeah. But enochanami, I don't have pshat. Elahanu no. So these psukim are coming to tell you when it says ish, it's coming to include goyim in the halacha. Shemizarn al birchas Hashem, that they're muzar on birchas Hashem, meaning that they're not allowed to curse Hashem, and they're also noeg on avodah zarah. So hainami miboy leila rabbis nachrim. So then we also need by ishish by Arayos to include nachrim shemuzarn al Arayos Yisrael, that they're muzar on Arayos just like a yid, right? And therefore, yes, this is true. Goyim have the isurim of Arayos. Yeah. So this comes up this comes up when can you be pro and a politician who's whatever, I don't even want to mention the Rashi Tevis, right? That they're pro all these types of things, right? Who said you could support that? Meaning the guy says, yeah, I'm going to fund schools and I hold of, vouchers and da-da-da-da-da. He also happens to be pro letting anybody be mizaneh with whatever they want, whenever they want, however they want, right? Who says you're allowed to be pro that, right? It's also for the goyim, just like it's also for the yidden. I don't know if it's the same level, but it's they're muzer on Arayos Yisrael, right? So how do you
have a better shot of Jewish politicians being pro that than goyim.
That's unfortunately true, right? But no, because I used to think what's a big deal? Let them all die and shine. Okay, but it's an isser.
I know the Matzah's Paskin once for a from politician if they should vote for abortion, right? He told them Shaval Tasek, just don't vote. Period.
Is that how they came out? Okay, I hear.
They said don't respond. If you respond negative, because it would be a backlash. And if you respond positive, don't vote.
I hear. Interesting. Okay, that's interesting.
These Arayos that they're muzer on, is this also for all types of Arayos, or is it just incest?
I think all sorts.
I was going to say, don't they get to define their own because of Dinin? They're mechuyev to make.
So that's where it gets a little clear. Unclear. I'm sorry. Where exactly? By whose definition? Right. Meaning, their kedushin is not a good kedushin, right? L'chayra. Well, that's a machlokas too. Whether what do you call a marriage is considered a legal marriage, right? But so who exactly makes their kedushin? That's what Gershon is referring to. So maybe it goes bust of their laws. But they have most of these laws. Now maybe they're being matter some stuff. But the regular incest they have. Yeah, what are you saying?
Why wouldn't the goyim be any different than everyone koydem Matan Torah, where there was some level of ishus, right? We paskin, they paskin on Tumah that she should die because of that.
Right.
So where was there ishus there?
I don't know. I don't know how it worked. I don't know how it worked back then with the ishus.
I'm saying, but why are the goyim any different than koydem Matan Torah? And everyone.
Who says they are? I'm saying, who says they are different?
Tumah was a Bas Kohen. That's a different rule they have.
Bas Kohen, there's no Dinim of Kohanim before Matan Torah.
Yeah. Okay, so then you got to send.
That's what the Rambam says.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, why are the goyim now any different than Kohen Matan Torah?
Because it's after Matan Torah. That's one reason.
So they're even less than Kohen Matan Torah. Why?
Only for
the meaning of Ish is Kohen Matan Torah, clearly.
Well, maybe things change. Yeah.
That there's no Indian of Isha Stam. Why should it change?
No, but what I understand, Akiva, it didn't change. Why are you saying it changed?
So there was Ishas then, and there's some level of Ishas. However they shelled it back, there was Ishas.
Yeah,
by everyone.
Right.
I'm saying, but why would there be a tzad that there wouldn't be any Ishas by going?
No, I don't think there's a tzad. It's just a matter of how you define it. That's all.
Oh, you're saying the parameters.
Yeah, that's right. The Gershon is with that Yuma. That's what Gershon's being wider. What their dinim are to make them keep Arayos. Anyways, so it's so whatever it is, goyim have Arayos. And by the way, you could be over lifnei iver on a guy, right? We had that a couple of times. One can be over on lifnei iver on a guy, right? We have to be careful that a guy, you can be over on a lifnei iver if you cause a guy to do an aveira.
Like what?
I'm saying if you're a clerk and you let two Goyish men marry each other, right? So you could be over lifnei iver. I'm saying I'm just throwing out. I'm not saying that that's in the practical, but you can voting for a that's not going to be a lifnei iver. Voting for a politician who's trying to push Arayos, but
I had a shayla. I think I called you with my shayla. I had two women that came to me. They were getting married, They wanted to buy a ring, and I think you told me that
told
they're gonna do it. Right? Remember, you said they're gonna buy it elsewhere. So if you can make money on it, it's not lifting. Remember, I asked you, is it?
Yeah, Taka. Right. Yeah.
It was two women, two men. I maybe it would have felt.
No, I'm saying, but even so, you're not causing them to get mad. You're not the Masada Kedushin just because you're ripping them off on a ring, right?
I'm not ripping them off. I'm not ripping them off, but you know,
I wasn't saying ripping them off.
They actually asked me Masada Kedushin. I said I declined.
You were busy that night. You were busy.
Yeah. With another interesting wedding.
Vision at the wedding. Yeah.
Anyways, okay.
Wait.
Remember I called you that?
Yeah, I remember Taka. Yeah.
If that's the case, then why can't we invite like non-Jews or non from people over for Shabbos then? Like it's a very similar thing. They're already going to do it. They're already going to go do something that night. Why not come try to do something Jewish and try to bring them to
Yiddishkeit? So that's one of the big tumults with this thing. If you invite them for Shabbos, at least they'll spend 2 hours by a Suda not driving around. If you don't invite them, they're going to be driving all over town. Right? Some of the psukim tie to that. Some of the psukim tie. The only thing is it's different is you have an Isser Misayeya, which you don't have on a Goy. You have an Isser D'Rabbanan to be involved in somebody doing an Isser, which you don't have on a Goy. It's an Iver or bust, meaning by a Goy, it's either you're causing it directly or not. But by a Yid, you have a problem with even being indirectly involved. So that's what makes it a little bit more complicated.
David Cohen gave me a psak.
Me too.
Yeah. Perek, you never told Ilam your psak from him on Friday, did you? Anyways, okay. He gave you a psak that what?
Finish the Perek. Perek can't talk right now.
No, I knew there were people from Great Neck, and I knew that they're driving Erev Shabbos, and he told me, I felt I didn't want to invite them. I told my wife, I don't want to invite them, they're going to drive back. And I called him David Cohen, and he said to me, he says, you have to tell them, I want you to stay here for Shabbos. So I told them.
They drive home.
I don't. When I saw them get in the car, my heart was turning upside down. I couldn't. Tell my wife, I can't do this.
Yeah.
Why didn't you just stay in the house when they went into the car? Who told you to go on the porch?
Yeah.
From Zav, I got a phone call Erev Shabbos. The guy asked me some Chal Shabbos, and he calls me. He says, hypothetically, if I'm traveling on Shabbos for the whole week, can I bring my tefillin with me?
I
don't know what to do.
At least he's putting on tefillin.
Yeah.
But he has to carry it on Shabbos.
It's like leaving it on Shabbos on the plane.
You know what? That's his worst Avera.
That's true, but
Lamai go on the plane anyway.
What did Reb David tell you?
Reb David tells me, he goes, first he stops, then he goes, that guy, he doesn't give a damn. And you can tell him, you don't have to say that word to him, but you could tell him that there is no halachic answer to your question.
Yeah, Gavaldi.
He said I should tell him his whole halo is off.
What was the guy trying to do? I missed it.
He's traveling on Shabbos for vacation for the whole week, and he wants to schlep his tefillin along because he likes. He only puts
his tefillin on vacation.
Right? Yeah, he doesn't put it on every day. Whenever he can, he puts on tefillin
when he has time. So he's on vacation. Yeah. He has time. Yeah.
You know what? If that's his.
So who answered this? Who answered that, Perek?
Reb David Cohen.
Oh, okay.
I should have recorded it.
Yaakov,
when I called the guy back and gave him the shiloh, he says, maybe I should call the reform rabbi, but he's going to ask me what's tefillin.
Very good. Very good. I don't know.
Can you hold it with a shinoi?
Wear the tefillin. That's a shinoi because you don't wear it on Shabbos, so you wear it. Okay.
That's Yaakov. He doesn't keep Shabbos, so he can wear the tefillin on Shabbos as a nice.
Right, that's true.
Yeah, he doesn't have Shabbos as a nice. He could wear the tefillin as a nice.
That's a good eight.
We had that, Yaakov, no? The people that were Mechal Shabbos, when they had no choice, did they wear tefillin Shabbos?
There was stories about that. It's not true. They said there was a minion of that. It's not true. They didn't wear tefillin.
I mean, the ones that went to work on Shabbos.
Yeah, Rav Pam debunked that rumor. It was urban legend.
No, but that comes up on Chol Hamoed. We discussed it in my part that if you're going to work on Chol Hamoed, maybe you should put on tefillin. That we said. That we did say. Anyways, okay, so let's see weiter. So first wide line. Ella, so again, so we don't know what the source is for Arayos with 3 people. Ella b'dechsiv u'shmartem es mishmarti says you should watch my mitzvahs. U'shmartem trey mishmarti chad. Shmartem is plural, and mishmarti is chad. And don't do the chukas, the bad things, the bad how do you call it? A choik is laws of te'evas, bad. So you see that it's 3. So when it says it says that you should be shomer Shabbos, ushmartem as a matzos, and you should be shomer matzos, ushmartem as mishmeres hakodesh. And you should be shomer the Mishmeres HaKodesh, meaning the Beis HaMikdash, Hachanami. Does that mean also that you need to have 3 people? All right? Because even meaning, and see here, Akiva, the Gemara's Kasha seems to be like what you're saying. Does that mean that only if you have 3 people, then you don't eat chametz? Right? And only shomer Shabbos, you have 3 people? All right? So that can't be. Salam Ravashi, my ain't darshan barayas b'shloisha, ain't darshan b'sisrei arayas b'shloisha, not the actual arayas, but the hidden things from arayas, right? Which was the thing that we said on the top of the Amud, the fellow being with his daughter through wedlock, right? My time of svarahu. So now it's a svara. Why? Beitrei kiyasvi kamei rabayu. When you have 2 people sitting by their rebbe. One is talking and learning with the Rebbe. The Gemara, and the one is going to be listening to the Gemara, to them talking. So, right, so if you have the Rebbe plus 2 Talmidim, then he's gonna listen in. That's fine. But tlasa, well, let's say you have 3 Talmidim and the Rebbe. One is going to be talking and learning with the Rebbe. The other 2 are going to talk and learn with each other. And then they're not going to really listen what the Rebbe said. Also, and they're not going to hear what the Rebbe is telling them about Arayos, and therefore they're going to end up being mater isurei Arayos. Right? So therefore, anything more than 2 would be a problem. So I don't know, Binyamin, if this is mashma like what you wanted to say before or not. From here, it's mashma. You have to know. Okay, so maybe 2 will learn with each other, and then another 2 will learn with each other. No, from here it's mashma that if it's anything more than 2, it's a problem because they're just not going to pay attention properly. Saying where it says Ihachi kala Torah nami, then the whole Torah also you're going to have only 3 talmidim. They might mess up in the psukim. So when it says Arayos shani, Arayos is different. The Amar Gezel Arayos nashim mechamdasan u'musavalem. The Gezel and Arayos, people naturally desire them. So therefore, there's more of a problem of there being a miscommunication and a misunderstanding. See, Achi Gezel Nami. Okay, so then why doesn't the Mishna say that Gezel, you can't learn Hilchas Gezela with more than 3 people? So Arayos, so we answer Arayos, Arayos, whether it's staring you in the face or not, there's a lot of Yetzirah for Arayos. So therefore, you have to be more careful. Gezel b'fan of nafesh yitzrei, shaloi b'fan of loy nafesh yitzrei. It's only when the opportunity to steal presents itself, that's when you have a desire for it. But other than that, you don't have a desire for it. So therefore, we're not so worried that somebody's gonna mess up in the halachas.
People are not thinking of ways to try to be megazel other people. I'm saying. When it's not in front, I'm saying it's.
I don't think they're looking to steal from people per se. They just love money. So they're looking for ways to make money, but they're not looking to necessarily, you know what I mean, get at somebody.
They're not looking to steal from Yanim? Is that what it is?
That's what that's the way I understand it. Yeah, they want money, but they're not going to necessarily say, it doesn't bother them if somebody else has it. But what's in front of their eyes, the guy comes with a good piece of jewelry, so I need to have that piece of jewelry. And then you're trying to figure a way to steal it. But you're not, you know what I mean? That's the way I understood it, but could be I'm wrong. Yeah, okay, so let's just start to the next, because tomorrow's daf is very long. So v'loy b'maisa bereishis b'shnayim, and you can't darshan maisa bereishis b'shnayim. You know, immediately, how do you know? The Tanur Rabbanan. Kishal na liyamim rishonim. When you're going to ask about the early days, Yachid shoyel ve'ein shnayim, because the shal is a lashon Yachid. So a Yachid could ask, and two are not allowed to ask. Yachal yishal adam kaidem shenivra olam. Okay, so you think, okay, so why? So then you can ask what happened before the world was created. From the day that Hashem created man. So therefore, you cannot talk about what happened before that. Maybe, so okay, maybe you can't ask from Sheshis and Bereshis because that's before man was created. To the early days that were before you, right? That's the days that were right before humans being created that you're allowed. You might be able to ask what's on top and what's in the bottom, what's before the world, what's after the world. From one end of the sky, the heavens, till the other end. You can go from one end to the other end. You can't ask anything what happens before or after. So let's just see a few more lines. So now that we're learning it out from one end of the sky to the other, to the heavens, right? So why do you need two psukim? Right, we're saying that you can only ask from one end of heavens to the other end of heavens, and nothing before, nothing after. So why do you need to say the pasuk of min hayom asher bara lekim? That seems to be repetitive. So we answer to the Rebbe Lazar, Adam Arishan min haaretz ad l'rekia. Adam Arishan went really, he was as tall as from the earth until the heavens, till the sky. Shenemar min hayom asher bara lekim Adam al haaretz. Right, the kivan shesarach, and since he decayed, right, once he did the chet, the what do you call it? It's a das. Hashem put his hands on top of him and shrank him, right? Later and earlier, you made me, and then you put your palm on top of me. Yeah. So therefore, that's what we learn out from that pasuk, that really Adam Arishan was the size of the entire, at least the height of the earth. Yeah. Okay. That's just a taste of what's coming for tomorrow's daf. Fine. All right. Good enough, everybody.
Oh yeah.
And enjoy.
Two questions.
Yeah, sure.
So what is the Sisrei Arayos exactly? And so you mentioned that there's no Shulchan Aruch on that, but is there any halachic implications of Sisrei Arayos?
I'm not sure.
So you would still preach in front of more than 3 people about any Arayos?
No, we don't. No, we don't.
Well, I
see, Yaakov, there was a whole initiative in the 5 towns, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago. It's shiurim going on about the way husbands and wives and couples getting together, and Rabbanim were giving them over here.
You serious?
So,
yeah.
I don't think that's Sisrei Arayos. I think that's just called Arayos. I think what the Gemara is talking about over here is if things you can make a mistake about, like drushas that they were making that aren't super clear. It's not the darshan on the fact that you shouldn't do Arayos, so you shouldn't, be sleeping around the Be'eshes Ish is I don't think that's Sisrei Arayos. I think that's pretty explicit. There's no, you don't need a drasha for that.
No, and just teach halachas, yeah.
I think that's what I want to know. What's exactly this Isser of Sisrei Arayos, and do we even know? Is it like
Rashi different pshatim? Right. So there's different pshatim of what Sisrei Arayos is. What do you call it? If there's a marsha that seems to say, I'm looking at it now.
Saying to give a chassan shmuz to 3 people is a problem, not because of Sisrei.
No, I'm just saying people say that when they say that the reason why they don't discuss these type of things in public it's because they blame it on this Mishnah that ain't Doshin Barayos. That's
doesn't seem like, but then the Gemara doesn't come out like that. The Gemara says it's really Sisrei Arayos and not Stam talking about Arayos. It doesn't seem like there's any issue of talking about Arayos.
Right. So the Marsha seems to say that Sisrei Arayos is you're trying to come up with rationales for why the Torah answered this type of Arayos and why not that type of Arayos, this and that. And then you start rationalizing things, and then you agree with the rationalization, you don't agree with the rationalization, and then that fits more in with Maisa Bereshis and Maisa Merkavos, because you're trying to figure out what was Hashem thinking when he created the world, and what was it, and all that type of stuff. Right?
And second question,
that's what he means.
What does someone do if they do have these questions of what happened before the world or whatever? I know you're not supposed to ask, but what? And then
you have to, what you really want to know, what you're supposed to do, you're supposed to learn everything and become, was the Lashon of the Mishnah? You're supposed to become what is it? Chacham u'meven midaita. If you become a chacham u'meven midaita, then you're allowed to learn it. So in Hilchos Talmud Torah, it brings, I think, the Shach brings in Hilchos Talmud Torah about learning Pardes and all these type of things, Kabbalah. He said, yeah, you can learn it, but first you have to be proficient in Shas and Poskim. Once you get to Shas and Poskim, then you can move on to Kabbalah. So if you're really, really bothered by these questions, so then what you do is you sit down, quit your job,
learn the whole Torah,
right? And go through the whole Torah. Then you get that, and then probably I would imagine half your questions will be answered even before you get to the Kabbalah, Mistama, right? And then, but I tell you, I have one of my kids. He stopped already with this, but he would always ask, "What was before the world? Who made Hashem?" Right? A lot of kids ask these questions. So I think I saw B'Shem Reb Chaim Kanievsky. I think it's in his Sefer. He said if your kids ask these questions, so what you do is you tell them they're good questions, but you have to be older to discuss it. You have to be older. It's not things for kids to discuss. I think that's what Reb Chaim Kanievsky says. You tell the kids. So if you're like me and you're still a kid, so I say, okay, when I get older, I'll know the answer to these. I don't know if I'll know it, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's Yaakov. For Stam Arayos, we bedafka lean it on Yom Kippur to warn people. Like that can't be what the Gemara is talking about. Stam Arayos.
Right. No, I think that's what Akiva was saying. Right. That's
yeah.
Right. That's you're right. You're right. The Beferish stuff you don't have to say.
Right.
Yeah, but the darshan, that's why I keep saying. I guess that's what it means by Sisrei Arayos, right?
Even before Sisrei Arayos, that's not darshan.
Rashi says darshan, like the Gemara before about Pita and Anusasai. Rashi says that's what Sisrei Arayos means. Things that we have to darshan that weren't explicit or that weren't so clear.
Yeah, okay, but you know what? I could hear that it's nowadays it's becoming to the point where maybe
you're saying everyone thinks everything is mutter.
I don't know what everything is mutter, but it's at some point with this LG whatever it's gonna have to be darshaned about in the public. I don't think we're gonna be able to shove it under the rug. I don't think so. I mean, unfortunately, it weighs on people.
Why wouldn't they? They have a Hirosha about this, that, the next thing. Isn't that like?
Yeah, because you have to be a big rabbi. You have to be a big rabbi to do this. And then the basic mahalach is to shove it under the rug. Yeah, that's all true until, and then some say, and if you bring it up, that means you're giving it some sort of chashivas.
Why chashivas? Look what they did with the guy, the Meshugana Walder. What was his name from Israel? They all spoke about it in great detail because they don't want this to happen again. It's not usually they push it under the rug. This was like the first time in a long time that they mamish went all out. And I'm sure everybody.
Yeah, the Rambam
saying it and hearing it.
The Rambam gives a whole he gives instructions on how to do that. There are halachas on how to do that. That nobody says that should be pushed under the rug. The Rambam gives halachas in terms of how to do that. You have to convene a bezdin. They did what the Rambam speaks about this explicitly.
Right. Yeah, it says whatever. I'm saying hopefully it doesn't come to that, but
It's Yaakov. There's a story of what's